Hey folks, I'm here today with my good friend, Mr. Van Dyke, and we're going to talk about a topic that's very near and dear to our hearts. We've been discussing it ad nauseum in previous videos. New Jersey's piracy. How the state of New Jersey likes to whack the average Joe with astronomical amounts of money for motor vehicle fines and motor vehicle revenue. Last week, I became one of those average Joes that was subject to extortion at the hands of the state of New Jersey. And, you know, it's a public record, folks. I'm going to give you guys a brief rundown of what's going on. So sometime in May, I was pulled over at a saturation checkpoint in South Plainfield, New Jersey. And it was around 11 o'clock, and you had a police officer that was positioned simply to pull over motor vehicles. Now, the cop pulls me over, and the cop says to me, I think you were on your cell phone. Okay. And I think that the world is flat, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's so. So, taking a rundown, the first thing that me and John have told people as a best precaution and a best measure to do is the minute that you get a motor vehicle summons, you ask for discovery, people. You ask for a copy of either the officer's report or his camera footage on his body cam or his dash cam. And that didn't happen in this situation. Discovery failed. Because what ultimately happened was I filed the discovery motion and the state just decided, we're not going to respond. Well, that only works so long because eventually the state has to respond. They have to do something about it. So lo and behold, the month is August 2022. And the state says to me, here's a copy of a link to the officer's body cam footage. Well, that's great. But now the problem is, guess what? I can't use that link at the time of trial. So what good is the discovery? It doesn't help me. So I filed a motion before the municipal court in South Plainfield, and they denied my motion. They assessed the fine for $440. I never got a fair shake, folks. I never got my chance in court. And I guess that it goes without saying, people that know me, people that know John the way that we do, the fight isn't over. I've already began my work on appealing the case. I want to get back on this topic because COVID seems to be a thing of the past, at least as far as we're concerned. The pandemic has went away, and the usual characters are back up to their usual tricks. And we're not going to tolerate this. So, John.
Yeah.
Come in the video real quick. So I told you a little bit about the fact that we're returning to a place where we were before COVID with the piracies in these towns. Okay, for 2 years they didn't get any, or a year and a half, they didn't get any motor vehicle revenue.
Well, I can tell you my favorite example, Homedale Township Police. At one point, they were up to $525,000 of anticipated court fines revenue. That is the money that the police are expected to send to the courts so they can levy fines and et cetera, et cetera. And if you don't think $500,000 disappears, it doesn't affect the budget, you're dreaming.
That's right.
You're fantasy land. But I had, last time I checked, they were down to like $250. They cut it in half, but they're, you know, these towns live on it. They basically exploit the police to pull people over. And the majority of people they're screwing with are people who don't have nice cars. They're not able to fight back the system. They just pay the fine. They go to court. They get bitch slapped by the judge. And they pay the fine. In some cases they can't pay the fine. And then it just, you get into a debtor's prison.
That's right.
And that's what goes on. And this is the bulk of what police around in this area do, is generate revenue, because we don't have that much crime in these areas. You take a lot of areas like Asbury Park and yeah, they're not out there doing a whole lot of revenue because they're busy. But these other towns here, these lily white towns, you know, the people are so fearful for their lives over nothing. They live a fear-based life that they got to have lots of police on duty. And he said duty. And
police doing.
They got a lot of police on you know, patrolling, and they get in trouble. And one of my friends, let's call him Sergeant Joe, he's retired, and he says one of the problems they have is there's too many police out there. They don't have enough to do, and this is how they get themselves in trouble when they're not pulling people over. So, you know, I've always said that the job of the police is to enforce laws, to generate revenue for the town, and protect the government. And this is a good example. Fortunately, Matt has been through law school. He's a licensed lawyer in 2 states. Unfortunately, not in New Jersey. I wish he was. We'd be making some serious changes. But he is able to fight back. And Matt and I, a while back, did a video about how to beat the system. See, the system depends on your lack of knowledge, inability to pay for a lawyer, or you say, you know, it's going to cost me $1,500 for a lawyer. I just had a municipal situation, and I had 2 appearances, which you did on Zoom, and it cost me $900 for that lawyer, and they never went to trial or anything because the people never showed up, so it all got dismissed. But
the state extorted you, basically.
You know, the whole thing was dropped, but I still had to pay a fine to the lawyer, $900. But my point is that if you got a ticket that's $150 and you know you're innocent, what are you gonna do? You're gonna pay the $150 instead of paying the lawyer $900.
That's right.
And so it's, you know, they're playing the economics game with you because they're targeting people that are not well equipped to fight back. And a lot of times all this motor vehicle enforcement they do is on a major highway where it's transient people coming through. They don't do it on a road that goes through town because they might have to see Mrs. Smith in the 7-Eleven or Mr. Jones in the grocery store. So that's what they do. They prey on out-of-towners and out-of-staters too, you know. So yeah, so what I was saying, how to beat the system is by tying them up with paperwork, motions and things like that. Now they got to pay this prosecutor who's not making a lot of money to begin with, and he's got to go back. He's got to pay some secretary has to sit down to respond.
In my case, the judge even waived the prosecutor's response. He let the prosecutor not respond to the motion.
So if you had what I'm saying is you got a $150 ticket, and you know most people go say, "Oh, screw it." You know, somebody like me or him will go file a thing for discovery and want a trial.
I didn't demand a trial, and you know why, John? Because I knew that what would have happened is this.
Well, it'll be a kangaroo court, and you'd have to take it up to Superior Court.
That's right.
Because that's the only way you're going to start getting justice.
And that's what I'm doing in this
Because these
case.
municipal courts is all about generating revenue and nothing else. We had a judge. Where was that judge? Is that in
Thompson.
Was that in this county? Or?
Yep, Monmouth County.
He presided over a couple towns, and he was just making money for the towns left and right.
He was converting state offenses down to like
yeah, that
local.
was another thing.
Yeah.
He was making deals with people. Oh, well, let's bring it down to an ordinance. And the reason they want it down to an ordinance is, Matt,
the municipality keeps 100% of the money.
That's right.
They don't have to share.
Here in New Jersey, you get a ticket for speeding, and say the ticket's $150, well, the town gets 75 and the state gets the other 75. Now, if it's an ordinance and, I don't know, you're making too much noise, and $150, well, the town gets the whole lump sum of it.
And everybody's happy with the ordinance because it doesn't affect your driver's insurance. It doesn't affect a criminal background check. An ordinance stays in town. There's no recordation of it outside of that court.
Right, and you know, and that's another thing too. If you get a ticket and it's not something that's going to affect your driver's license, your points on your license, you tend to just to pay it off and get rid of it so you can get on with your life. I mean, I did at that time. I got a ticket up there in Woodbridge in retaliation.
Oh, that was Ed Barrett.
Yeah, and you said, "Oh, come on, let's go do this, go do that." And I said, "No, you know what? The ticket was $60. I made $600 off the AdSense. That was a pretty good day in the sun, the way I see it."
You got 54,000 views, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, well, I got a lot because it got put up on other channels too, so it wasn't just there. So anyway, go ahead with the rest.
But what I do think too is we've seen a lot of these towns, and it goes back to like what John's saying, in these towns where the cops don't have much to do and they rely on that motor vehicle revenue. That's where you see they go ticket heavy. In this case, South Plainfield's a middle-sized town. It's next to where I live in North Plainfield. I mean, it's not really the greatest example of a ticket haven, but it's turning into a pirate town. I think that in Monmouth and Middlesex counties, I could name 5 towns off the top of my head that are towns that either shouldn't have a police department or they don't have a police department anymore. Years ago, people were afraid to drive through Lake Como. Do you remember that town?
Well, that's the old South Belmar.
Yep. Lake Como had a 5 or 6 man department like Englishtown or Allenhurst.
Well, the only time Lake Como or South Belmar, however you want to look at it, was busy was during the summer on the weekends, because they had a couple bars. They're right next to Belmar, so they can make a lot of money. And it's like, it's all about...
Cha-ching, cha-ching,
See, here's the
cha-ching.
deal, folks. I don't want to drone on about it, but the deal is that, you know, the policy get, we're not going to raise your taxes. Well, we got a little problem here. The chief needs a raise, and we don't got enough. You know, he's acting like a chief. He's not a real chief yet. We need money. So we can't raise the taxes because I ran on a promise not to raise taxes. So what do?
Generate revenue, fines.
That's right, ticket blitz.
That's right. That's
So,
right. There was
anyway.
one town in Middlesex County next to Spotswood, Helmetta, and they had a 3-man police department. It got so bad with tickets that they just disbanded the police department.
Well, I understand they got hit with a lawsuit that
Helmetta Police.
one of our friends in the business here slapped him with a lawsuit, and that was the end of that.
Yeah.
But that's, you know, this is the only way you can fight back against these towns and the piracy is that you have to fight back sometimes, and you have to sue them. That's why I said anytime these cops violate your rights, you got to sue them, because this is the only way this is the only thing they understand. The other thing too is when you're voting for people, you got to ask them, you know, what's your position on the ticket blitz and all that stuff, you know. You go for the Republicans, yeah, back the blue, back the blue. You go to the Democrats, let all the criminals out. It's like, you know.
Where's the happy medium?
Where's the happy medium? So.
Yeah, there is none anymore, and it's sad.
Now, one of the things, it's a story I'm working on as soon as we get the public records back is, and this is sort of related to what Tim is doing, we've had an uptick here in Monmouth County of cars being stolen.
In Homedale.
And particularly Homedale. Homedale for the most part, and the reason being, that's where all the money is at, the Land Rovers, the Mercedes, the Bentleys, all that stuff. That's where it's big money up there in the hills. And we have a parkway entrance right there. And if you want to get technical, there's another one not too far from that. So the urbanites come down from Newark and they look for cars, and they know what they're looking for and they know what to do, and they steal these cars. And we have a no chase policy here in New Jersey, which I am personally fine with, because I had a cop chase somebody, and that somebody ran into the back of my van, and I had a van, which I still drive, had no dents in it. 2 weeks into owning the thing, I had a big dent in it and it screwed the van up. Anyway, so.
That's beautiful, isn't it?
So Homedale has been getting on there and crying. You know, they just can't accept that they are screwing up. They can't accept failure. They can't everything because they're narcissists and it's all about them and it must be you that's causing the problem. So what do? They put it on Facebook. What do they tell you? They give you all the lectures, the directives. Make sure you lock your car. Okay, the person locked the car. They broke into the garage, found the key. So that's a true story, by the way. They had the guy took the key out, but he had his garage door open. The guy hit the garage door. He went there and found the keys.
And you know, Homedale is one of those towns where I hate to say it, but they report all the incidents after the fact. I mean, that's all they do. You hear about all these burglaries, even before the spike. Okay, they have, I think, 38 sworn officers in Homedale, John, and 1/3 of them are assigned to desk duty.
Oh, almost. It's a tough job over there.
Yeah.
All the arrests and all the crime.
All the administrators, and they have like 3 or 4 lieutenants.
Getting on the thing about the stolen cars. Yeah. Okay, so Homedale gets on there and they say, you know, lock your car, don't do this, don't do that, blah, blah. It's all your fault. The cars are getting stolen. And I say, well, if you spent less time sitting on the side of the road doing motor vehicle enforcement and spent more time patrolling the side streets instead of hanging out on Route 35 with your damn plate readers.
Your helpers.
And I have already documented what they do. They used to sit in the middle of this one road with the plate reader until I started hammering, got a video of it and started hammering at them. And now all of a sudden they're keeping their mouth shut on Facebook. And I happen to mention, I tip my hat a little bit, or tip my cards, whatever you want to call it. And I said, well, maybe somebody, because when a car got stolen, say it was 10:30 at night.
Yeah.
And I said, well, where were your cars at when this all took place? Why are you going to make trouble, John? I said, maybe somebody should do an Oprah request and get a copy of the motor vehicle stops.
Yeah.
And if I could, I'd get a copy of their GPS tracking to see exactly where the cars are all at. See, at one time I worked at Lowe's on Route 35 in Homedale, and every night I'd be leaving there at 10 o'clock, and I'd see Homedale sitting in the parking lot at the Homedale Motor Lodge. And then a lot of times I go down Laurel Avenue to go to the exit 114 to get on the Parkway, which is where the crooks all go. And I see them out there chasing cars up and down the highway. This is what they do. But they won't set that. They won't do that radar in the neighborhood where the rich people are living, because there could be a problem because they don't know who they're pulling over. But yeah, it's all about revenue. And then when you ask any of them, well, nobody ever told me to do it. You mean to tell me if you didn't do any motor vehicle stops the whole month, the lieutenant or the captain's not going to pull you off and say, hey, what's going on? You mean to tell me when the budget's lacking that the town administrator doesn't call the chief up or the captain up and say, hey, we're a little short, can you send some more revenue? And speaking of which, you went to court and you added up in your head.
Yep.
How much money, what court was that?
South Plainfield Municipal Court, and they're one that, now they're notorious. They have the same 2 checkpoints, and they're not on highways, because highways don't run through the town, but on county roads. So on Park Ave runs through 5 towns. It starts in Plainfield.
So it's another transitory highway.
Exactly.
It's not a neighborhood road.
No. It runs through Plainfield, South Plainfield, and Edison and Metuchen. So it basically runs through all these commercialized areas where people have to go. And what was weird, John, is in that same spot where that cop stopped me, 2 weeks later, I saw the very same cop stopping the same person, or another person.
Yeah, it's just...
That's
so how much revenue that day you went to court, the little time that you were sitting in that municipal court?
$31,000.
$31,000.
They made $440 off me unless this gets reversed. So that's going to be, let's see. So $440 off me. They got a lot of people for these excess speed rates on 287.
Another one.
Yep.
They never resolved the problem. This is like the day I caught that cop over Shark River Park outside the entrance doing radar, catching people coming over the Parkway overpass, and gets them. And I went out and said, oh, is all the crime solved in town and you can sit here and do this? Well, this is what they want me to do.
He said that? He was brazen enough to say that this is what they want me to do?
Yeah, he said words to that effect. And this is, safety. I go, well, if it's so much about safety, why don't they just put speed bumps out there, and that'll force people to slow down? See, that's how you solve the problem in a spot where you're having speeders. You put those wide speed bumps down, and trust me, you will slow down, because I went over one of them one time fast, and I went airborne, all right? So... Was
that a Wall Township cop?
Yeah, it was a Wall Township. So, they're not interested in safety. They're interested in generating revenue, and like he said, a lot of stuff on 287. 287's an interstate road, and this is what they do. Wall Township does it. They sit on 195. That's an interstate. Well, I don't know if that's an interstate, but it's a big highway that goes through the middle of the state. And they sit out there every day around rush hour. It's like, the people live in the area know, but what about the people from out of town? Now, Matt, we're going to close it up with this. I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Yes.
I'm going to be one of those blue goo, balls deep people, back to blue, rah, rah, rah. They risk their lives to protect us. Anybody believe that?
Is anybody stupid enough to?
Oh, no, I said they risk our lives. I'm so used to saying that now, and I just automatically say, they risk their lives. No, they risk our lives. if you just obeyed the law, this wouldn't be a problem. They wouldn't pull you over.
You know, if you just followed the rules, I mean, you wouldn't have that cell phone ticket, even though the cop openly stated he wasn't sure whether or not you had a cell phone.
Right. But that's just what the bootleggers say. Well, if you didn't break the law, you wouldn't get the ticket.
Until they're in your shoes, John. Until
Right.
they're on the receiving end.
Right.
And then it's, oh, well.
But these are people that never go out. They sit at home. They tend to be older, retired white people. When I'm on Facebook and I'm out there stirring the pot a little bit, somebody will say, "Oh, you're all heroes," and I'll say, "All of them?" Even the ones that, and then I'll post an article about how some cop just raped 5 kids and got sentenced to 20 years. All of them, and this will be from a town that they're back in the blue on. I always love that, like San Jose. Oh, they put a thing, "Oh, you're all heroes," and I post a thing, "Oh yeah, is this masturbator a hero? He showed up at the scene to answer a call and he whipped it out and started working it."
Not the call. He wasn't working.
No! I did the video, just scroll back a few, but I read that story. So the guy gets a call, he shows up, and it's the mother and the daughter, and the mother goes in the other room, and he's in the kitchen with the daughter. All of a sudden, I never saw what the daughter looked like, but apparently he was so overtaken by desire that, excuse me while I whip this out, and proceeded to perform on himself. And the mother's come back, "What the hell?" It's like
his dash cam picked it up.
No, this was inside the house.
Oh, they had cameras.
Yeah, another cop showed up, and he told the mother to go speak to the cop out there.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he's fired now. They did a video. The chief walked him out. I said, "How embarrassing! You're getting fired from your 6-figure a year job with great benefits and pension." And they say, "Well, Joe, why did you get fired?" "Well, I whipped it out and started to pleasure myself in somebody's kitchen that I was responding a call to." They had another cop in San Jose that showed up to a call drunk. I don't know. I don't want to get off topic here. There's so many things you could just talk about all day. All right, I really have nothing else left to say. What about you, Matt?
No.
You can close it all up.
Well, you're watching us, and we're watching you.
That's right. There's only one color I back around here.
3, actually.
It's the red, white, and blue. I don't back that blue line gang flag.
No blue running across this flag.
I back the American flag, and I back the truth. That blue line shit is nothing more than a gang flag. And if you support that, you can go F yourself. That's the way I see it. All right, I'm John Van Dyke from New Jersey Exposed. We got Matt Tim here back for a visit. Like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Gunnison Undercover Facebook page. I'm posting stories there every day. Every day there's a new hero story to warm your cockles, okay? Let me know what you think in the description, in the comment section. Till next time, people.
Keep it real.